My name is Clayton Duff, and me and my family have been attending Northwest Church for, in total, about 7 years. To tell my story, I kind of have to go back a little bit to my childhood. My parents divorced when I was 9 years old, and I lived with a single father who was a truck driver. He had to be gone a lot in order to provide for me, so when he was gone, I would live with family and friends from school, and I didn't have a lot of supervision, so it allowed me to be introduced to drugs at a really young age. By the time I was 17 years old, I had dropped out of high school and become addicted to methamphetamine, among other things. For the next 4 years, I was in and out of rehab facilities, hospitals, and I'd become an IV user, and I was drug-induced schizophrenic. I went to a church over by my dad's house, and the preacher stood up and kind of stopped the service, and he said God spoke to him and that somebody was in that place that needed delivered from something, and all you had to do was stand up and believe it. I knew immediately he was talking about me, so I stood up and I walked to the front of the church, and I don't even remember what I prayed or what I said, but I went out to explain it because I just felt like a breath of life was breathed into me. God delivered me from meth that day, completely renewed my mind, and I've been delivered from meth ever since. I met my wife, Peyton, in 2013, and we got married, and we had our first son in April of 2017. And that December, I ended up back in a hospital having severe anxiety and withdrawal symptoms from opioids. And 2 weeks later, I checked myself into a faith-based rehab facility. I had fractured my relationship with my wife, and we separated. And the next 3 months was probably the lowest point in my life, having to be separated from my son, who was not even a year old at the time, and being separated from my wife. I just felt completely broken. I felt like I had lost everything. I was angry with God. I didn't understand why I was the way I was, and thankfully he didn't give up on me. He pursued me at that place, and he showed me that I couldn't be perfect, that I didn't have to be perfect. He showed me how deep his love for me was. Me and my wife got back together in 2019. I've now been completely alcohol and addiction free for going on 5 years. And since then, my wife has graduated nursing school. He's blessed me with a great career, and we have 2 healthy sons, Sawyer, who's 6 years old, and River, who's about to turn 2 in August. And I now serve on the weekends, play the guitar for the worship team, and I'm also a 10th grade crew leader for the boys and Northwest Youth on Wednesday nights. My wife, Peyton, she serves in the nursery, Northwest Kids, and he's just completely restored everything in my life, more than I ever dreamed that I could have.